The email arrived on a Tuesday morning, buried between spam about extended car warranties and LinkedIn notifications. The subject line read simply, Family Reunion, Italy 2024. I almost deleted it, assuming it was another promotional travel scam, until I saw my mother's name in the sender field. Dear children, your father and I have decided to organize a family reunion in Tuscany this summer. We found a beautiful villa that can accommodate everyone for 2 weeks. The flights from various cities will cost approximately $1,450 per person. If you cannot afford this, you're welcome to stay behind. We understand not everyone prioritizes family time. The total cost breakdown per family is attached. Please confirm your attendance by March 15th so we can finalize bookings. Love, Mom and Dad. I stared at the screen, my coffee growing cold in my hands. The passive-aggressive tone was nothing new. My mother, Patricia Chen, had elevated guilt-tripping to an art form. But the dismissive, if you cannot afford it, stay behind felt particularly cruel, especially since she knew I'd been struggling financially after my divorce. The attachment detailed the costs, $1,450 per person for flights, plus $800 per person for accommodation, meals, and activities. For my family of 4, that meant nearly $9,000. Money I didn't have. My phone buzzed with a text from my younger brother Jake. Did you see Mom's email? Jesus Christ. Then my sister Lily. Are they serious with this? Mark and I can barely afford groceries right now. And finally, my older sister Emma. Well, I guess it's just going to be Mom, Dad, and me then. You guys never could manage your money properly. That last message stung the most. Emma had always been the golden child, the successful lawyer who married another successful lawyer. She'd inherited our mother's talent for subtle cruelty, wrapping insults in concerned observations. I called Jake first. At 28, he was the youngest and had always been the family peacekeeper. "This is insane, right?" he said without preamble. $9,000 for a family vacation? I make $35,000 a year teaching middle school. Where does she think I'm going to get that kind of money? Did you see Emma's response in the group chat? I asked. Yeah. God, she's turning into Mom more every day. Remember when we used to be close? I did remember. Before marriages and mortgages and the slow drift that happens when life gets complicated, the 4 of us siblings had been tight. Sunday dinners at Mom and Dad's house, shared inside jokes, genuine affection. When had it all become so transactional? Over the next few weeks, the family group chat became a battlefield. Mom sent daily updates about the villa, complete with professionally shot photos of sun-drenched terraces and infinity pools. She shared restaurant recommendations and wine tour itineraries, each message a reminder of what we'd be missing. Such a shame some of you won't be there to make memories. With us, she wrote. Your father is quite disappointed. Dad never spoke for himself in these situations. He'd been relegated to the role of phantom disappointment, a specter of paternal sadness that Mom wielded when needed. Emma played her part perfectly, responding with enthusiasm to every update. Can't wait. I've already booked spa treatments for us, Mom. Just the 3 of us girls. The casual cruelty of that message, referring to herself and our mother as the 3 girls when Lily and I were also their daughters, felt like a slap. But what hurt more was the realization that this had always been the dynamic. Emma and Mom against the rest of us, using financial superiority as a weapon. By March 15th, the battle lines were drawn. Emma was going, along with her husband Mark and their 2 kids. Jake, Lily, and I would be staying home, officially because of money, but really because we'd been systematically excluded from our own family. I might have accepted this familiar defeat if not for the accident. 3 weeks later, I was rear-ended at a red light. The other driver, a texting teenager in Daddy's BMW, was clearly at fault. His insurance company cut me a check for $15,000 to cover my medical bills and car damage. But since I'd only been slightly injured and my 12-year-old Honda was barely worth $3,000, I suddenly found myself with unexpected money. Money that could cover the Italy trip. My first instinct was to call Mom immediately, to tell her I could come after all. I pictured her surprised delight, maybe even an apology for the harsh tone of her original email. But as I reached for my phone, Emma's words echoed in my head. "You guys never could manage your money properly." Then I remembered all the other times. The Christmas when Mom gave Emma a diamond necklace and the rest of us gift cards. The birthday dinner where she forgot to invite Jake because he was going through that difficult phase. He was grieving his ex-girlfriend's death from cancer. The way she'd introduced Emma as my successful daughter and me as my daughter who's going through some changes during my divorce. Instead of calling, I opened my laptop and began researching. The first thing I discovered was that the villa Mom had booked cost $3,200 per week, not the $1,600 per person she'd claimed. For 2 weeks with 8 people, that worked out to $400 per person for accommodation, not $800. The flights were trickier to verify, but some careful investigation on travel sites revealed that she'd found a group rate of $980 per person, not $1,450. She'd been overcharging us by nearly 40%. But the real revelation came when I found her travel blog. Yes, my 62-year-old mother had a secret travel blog called Patricia's Passages, with exactly 37 subscribers. Her most recent post, written just after sending the family email, was titled, "How to Take Dream Vacations on Your Children's Dime." The key is making them feel guilty if they don't. Participate while ensuring the costs are just high enough to exclude the family members you don't actually want there. I've found that doubling the accommodation costs and inflating flight prices by 30% creates the perfect financial barrier. This way, you can enjoy quality time with your favorite children without the drama of directly uninviting the others. My hands shook as I read further. For our upcoming Tuscany trip, I've managed to price out my 3 younger children. They've always been jealous of Emma's success, while ensuring Emma and her family can easily afford to join us. Sometimes you have to be strategic about family dynamics. The comments section had responses from other parents congratulating her on her cleverness. One woman wrote, "Brilliant. I did something similar for our Aspen ski trip. Much better than dealing with my son-in-law's political rants for a whole week." I screenshotted everything. For the next 2 weeks, I planned carefully. I used some of the insurance money to book a flight to Italy, but not to Tuscany. Instead, I chose Rome, arriving 2 days before their trip began. I booked a beautiful hotel in Trastevere and made reservations at the city's best restaurants. But most importantly, I hired Maria Santos, a private investigator who specialized in financial fraud. It cost me $2,000, but Maria was thorough. Within a week, she documented not just the Italy trip overcharges, but a pattern going back 5 years. The family cruise where Mom had pocketed the group discount. The ski lodge Christmas where she'd inflated costs by 60%. The beach house rental where she'd claimed it cost twice what it actually did, using the extra money to upgrade her and Emma's rooms to oceanfront suites while the rest of us stayed in Garden View. In total, she'd stolen nearly $23,000 from her own children over 5 years. Armed with this evidence, I put the final phase of my plan into motion. On the day they left for Italy, I posted a message in our family group chat. "Hi, everyone. I know you're all heading to Tuscany today. I hope you have a wonderful time. Emma, I'm sure you and Mom will enjoy those spa treatments. I wanted to let you know that I'll actually be in Italy too. in Rome for the next 10 days. I had some unexpected money come in and decided to treat myself to a solo vacation. I attached photos of my hotel room, a gorgeous suite with a balcony overlooking the Tiber River, and the reservation confirmation for dinner that night at La Pergola, Rome's only 3 Michelin-starred restaurant. Mom's response was immediate. "How wonderful, dear. How did you manage to afford it?" "Oh, just being strategic about my finances. Speaking of which, I've been doing some research on travel costs for our family trips, and I've discovered some interesting discrepancies. But we can discuss that when you get back. Enjoy Tuscany." The group chat went silent. I spent the next 10 days living like a queen in Rome. I toured the Vatican, ate at incredible restaurants, bought beautiful clothes, and documented every moment on social media. But more importantly, I met with an Italian lawyer who specialized in international fraud cases. The evidence Maria had gathered was damning. In Italy, what Mom had done constituted fraud, regardless of family relationships. The lawyer assured me that I had grounds for both criminal charges and a civil lawsuit. But I wasn't interested in destroying her. I wanted something else entirely. On their last day in Tuscany, I sent another message to the group chat. "Hi, family. I hope you've had an amazing time. I'm heading back to the States tomorrow, but before I do, I wanted to share something I discovered while I was here." I posted screenshots of Mom's travel blog, the evidence of overcharging, and Maria's full financial report. Then I added, "Mom, over the past 5 years, you've systematically overcharged your own children for family vacations to the tune of $23,000. You've used our money to upgrade your own experiences while pricing out the children you didn't want around. You've written blog posts about manipulating your family financially and emotionally. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to reimburse Jake, Lily, and me for every penny you've stolen, not just from this trip, but from all of them. You're going to delete that disgusting blog. And you're going to publicly apologize in this group chat for your manipulation. If you don't, I'm filing fraud charges in both the US and Italy. I've already spoken with lawyers in both countries, and they've assured me that financial elder abuse works both ways. Adult children can be prosecuted for financially abusing their elderly parents, and elderly parents can be prosecuted for financially abusing their adult children. You have 48 hours to decide. My phone exploded with messages. Emma, you're being dramatic. It's just family vacation planning. Jake, holy shit, Sarah. Holy shit. Lily, Mom, is this true? Dad, breaking his years of silence. Patricia, we need to talk. But Mom herself said nothing for 6 hours. When she finally responded, it was with a single line. "We'll discuss this when I get home." "No," I replied. "We'll discuss this now in front of everyone you've hurt." 46 hours remaining. What followed was the most brutal family confrontation of my life, conducted entirely through text messages and phone calls across international time zones. Emma initially defended Mom, calling me vindictive and accusing me of destroying the family over money. But when Jake and Lily started corroborating their own experiences, times when they'd suspected something was off, moments when Mom's math didn't add up, her support wavered. Dad, meanwhile, seemed genuinely shocked by the blog posts. In a rare private call to me, he admitted he'd never known about the overcharging. "Your mother handles all the trip planning," he said quietly. "I just assumed the costs were accurate." "Did you know she didn't want Jake, Lily, and me on these trips?" I asked. There was a long pause. "I suspected she had preferences," he said finally. "But I thought it was just personality conflicts. I didn't realize she was actively excluding you." On their last night in Italy, with just 12 hours left in my deadline, Mom finally broke. She called me directly, her voice tight with anger and fear. "You've destroyed our family," she said, without preamble. "I've exposed what our family actually was," I replied. "There's a difference." "What do you want from me?" I'd spent days thinking about this moment, about what justice actually looked like. Money was part of it, but not the most important part. "I want you to acknowledge what you did to us," I said. "I want you to admit that you systematically excluded your own children because you decided we weren't worthy of your love. I want you to pay us back every penny you stole. Yes, but more than that, I want you to recognize that we're your children too, that we deserved better." She was quiet for so long, I thought the connection had dropped. "The money was never about the money," she said finally. "No, it was about control. It was about creating a hierarchy where Emma was the golden child and the rest of us were disappointments. But you know what, Mom? We turned out fine anyway. Jake is an incredible teacher who changes kids' lives every day. Lily built a successful photography business from nothing. I survived a divorce and started over at 40. We did all of that without your approval or your financial manipulation. And Emma?" I thought about my older sister, about the way she'd twisted herself into knots trying to remain in Mom's good graces, about the cruelty she'd learned to wield as a defense mechanism. "Emma's the one I feel sorriest for," I said, "because she's never going to know if you actually love her or if you just love her success." The line went quiet again. "I'll transfer the money," Mom said finally, "and I'll apologize to everyone. Publicly. In the group chat. Yes. And the blog gets deleted. Yes. And Mom? We're going to have to rebuild this family from scratch. All of us. Because what we had before wasn't actually a family. It was a performance with a very cruel director." She hung up without saying goodbye. True to her word, the money appeared in our accounts over the next week. $7,800 to me, $6,200 to Jake, and $9,000 to Lily. She'd been excluded from the most trips. The blog disappeared entirely. The apology when it came was stilted and defensive, but it was public. I owe my children Jake, Lily, and Sarah an apology. I have not been fair in my handling of family vacation costs or in my treatment of them generally. I will do better going forward. It wasn't perfect, but it was a start. Emma's response surprised me most of all. Instead of doubling down on her defense of Mom, she wrote, "I'm sorry too. I knew something was wrong with how we treated you guys, and I should have said something. I was so afraid of losing Mom's approval that I became complicit in hurting my own siblings. Can we try to fix this?" The rebuilding process was slow and sometimes painful. We started with small steps, coffee dates between siblings, phone calls that didn't revolve around family drama, honest conversations about years of hurt feelings. Dad filed for separation 2 months after they returned from Italy. He told me later that reading Mom's blog had been a revelation, not just about the financial manipulation, but about the casual cruelty of excluding her own children from family memories. "I enabled her by staying silent," he said during one of our newly regular father-daughter dinners. "I thought I was keeping the peace, but I was really just letting her hurt you kids." Mom entered therapy, both individual and family counseling. The first session was brutal. Years of resentment and pain spilling out in ways that left us all emotionally exhausted. But slowly, incrementally, we began to build something new. Emma and I grew closer than we'd been since childhood. She confessed that she'd always felt the pressure of being the perfect daughter, that Mom's approval had come with strings she'd never recognized until they were pointed out. Jake started standing up for himself more, setting boundaries with Mom about her tendency to dismiss his career as not ambitious enough. Lily began joining family events again, instead of making excuses to avoid them. And me? I learned that revenge, when it's really justice in disguise, doesn't have to be destructive. Sometimes it can be the thing that forces everyone to stop pretending and start healing. 6 months later, we took another family trip, this time to a modest beach house in North Carolina. Everyone paid their own actual costs, which were transparently shared in advance. Mom didn't plan activities for anyone else or make passive-aggressive comments about who could afford what. It wasn't perfect. There were still awkward moments, still lingering hurts that would take years to fully address. But for the first time in decades, we felt like an actual family instead of performers in Mom's elaborate, emotional theater. On the last night of that beach trip, as we sat around a bonfire watching the sunset, Mom turned to me and said quietly, "I never thanked you for what you did." "For humiliating you internationally?" I asked with a small smile. "For saving us," she said. "I was so lost in my own need to control everything that I was destroying the thing I was trying to protect. I would have lost all of you eventually." "You almost did anyway." "But I didn't. Because you fought back. Because you refused to let me keep hurting everyone." I looked around at my siblings, at Dad reading a book in his beach chair, at Emma and Lily laughing together as they built sandcastles with Emma's kids. It wasn't the family I'd grown up with, but it was the family we'd chosen to become. "Sometimes," I said, "love looks like accountability." Mom nodded, staring out at the waves. "I'm still learning that. We all were." The travel blog was never resurrected, but I started one of my own, Rebuilding Bridges, a family's journey through financial abuse and back. It currently has 1,247 subscribers, mostly adult children sharing their own stories of family manipulation and their paths toward healing. The comments section has become a support network, a place where people share strategies for setting boundaries, rebuilding trust, and sometimes, when necessary, fighting back against the people who are supposed to love you most. Because sometimes, the most loving thing you can do is refuse to let love be used as a weapon against you. And sometimes, the flight away from toxicity is worth every penny. Even when it costs $9,540 you didn't think you had.